Emily Turner was 6 when she first understood that love could vanish without warning. She smelled it in her mother's hair, sweet wildflowers she picked in the yard behind their crumbling house. She remembered a kiss on her forehead, her mother's soft whisper. "Promise me you'll never let loneliness eat you alive, Emmy." Then the slow fade of breath. The scream of an ambulance that came too late. Her father drowned the rest of that promise in whiskey, and the sound of a TV that never turned off. At night, Emily lay awake on a sunken mattress, listening to bottles clink and curses slur behind thin walls. By 16, she was an expert at boiling noodles silently, slipping out before her father's hangover woke. She learned to wear silence like armor. Her bright eyes careful not to look too hopeful. Then came David Miller, in her second year of college. On a December night thick with snow, Emily lost her pencil during a final exam. David, a quiet architecture major sitting one row behind, nudged his only spare toward her desk. She didn't notice his shy smile until he whispered after class, "Keep it. Looks better in your hand anyway." They spent winter break on library floors, feet tangled under battered tables, whispering about dreams and what it meant to belong to no one but each other. David, orphaned young, dreamed of designing houses that would never break like theirs. Emily wanted warmth, a corner in the world where no one shouted and no door slammed shut in rage. In spring, under cherry trees by the old brick wall behind campus, David held her hand tight and said, "I don't have much, but you'll never be alone again. That's my only promise." Emily believed him, the way lonely people believe the sun will rise. They married at 25 in a cheap chapel that smelled of candles and second chances. Emily wore her mother's lace dress, stitched back together by her Aunt Marla, who disapproved of David's empty bank account but admitted no man ever looked at a woman the way he looked at Emily. They moved into a shoebox apartment above Mr. Choon's dry cleaners. It rattled when buses rumbled by, but to Emily, it felt like a castle. She painted the kitchen yellow, planted a basil pot on the tiny window ledge. David left love notes beside the coffee mug she chipped on purpose just so she could think of him while drinking alone. He worked days at a mid-tier architecture firm, nights drafting boring commercial layouts for side money. He came home late, shoulders sagging but eyes bright, dropping tired kisses onto her hair before collapsing next to her. At first, she was content. She giggled at their burnt pancakes on Sundays, their arguments about whether to buy a TV or save for furniture. She watched him scribble blueprints for someday, and their dream house where sunlight would spill on wooden floors and laughter would chase shadows away. But months turned to years. Sketches stayed sketches. Emily stayed waiting, her phone buzzed at midnight with photos of old college friends draped in silk dresses, sipping mimosas on sandy beaches. Their captions dripped with the freedom she pretended she didn't envy. Weekend in Malibu, self-care first, husband second. Meanwhile, she reheated dinners 3 times a week, whispering to empty rooms, "You're doing this for us, right? For us." The first crack in her promise to David arrived on a rainy Tuesday. David had texted at 7 p.m. Late meeting. Might crash at the site tonight. Love you. Okay. Emily stared at the message until the microwave beeped. She pushed her fork through cold lasagna, wondering when she stopped hating eating alone. Then her phone vibrated again. Unknown number. Long time no see. Emmy. Her pulse stumbled. Jason Reed. High school's reckless prince. The boy who taught her how to hide beer under her bed, how to kiss behind gym bleachers. The boy who left her crying at 16. When he vanished with another girl on prom night, she almost deleted it. Almost instead, her fingers typed, "You still have my number." His reply came so fast she felt the ghost of his laugh. Always did. Dinner. Old friends, right? She told herself it was harmless. Oh, a meal with an old flame couldn't burn a house down. 2 nights later, she sat across from Jason in a downtown bar far from David's job site. He looked older, expensive watch, confident grin. But when he leaned close and called her Emmy, she felt 17 again, untouchable and desired. They laughed about the past. She didn't mention David at first. Jason didn't ask when. He walked her to her car, rain tapping on his shoulders. He touched her cheek with the back of his fingers. For a second, Emily leaned in before common sense yanked her spine straight. "Good night, Jason." She fled inside, heart pounding. The next day, she waited for his text. It came at noon. "Didn't sleep, couldn't stop thinking of you." She didn't answer. That night, she deleted it. 2 days later, she messaged back anyway. "Me too." Asterisk, asterisk, for weeks. Emily danced between stolen afternoons and wifely dinners, painting on her loyal smile each evening when David came home smelling of rain and fatigue. David did notice changes, how she flinched when he hugged her, how she locked her phone and laughed too brightly at nothing. But exhaustion dulled suspicion, until one night, coming home early, David found her phone buzzing on the counter while she reheated his dinner. A name, Jason, hotel room 307, tonight. David froze. The microwave beeped. Emily turned from the stove, smile rehearsed. He didn't yell. He handed her the phone wordlessly. Her lips moved, choking on half-formed excuses. "It's not what," he interrupted. "How long, Emily?" Her silence answered. They argued until dawn. Or rather, she begged while he sat at the kitchen table, staring at the ring on her finger like it was a dead thing. She wept into his lap. He didn't touch her hair, not once. "At sunrise," he whispered. Hoarsely, "One chance. Only because I promised you'd never be alone." "Break it again, Em, and you lose me forever." She swore she'd never see Jason again. She deleted Jason's number the moment David fell asleep. She re-added it 2 days later. Emily told herself it was over. She told herself every morning she blocked Jason. Every evening she unblocked him. Before climbing into bed beside David's back turned cold. Jason never begged. He snapped his fingers. And she crawled back to hotel rooms that smelled of regret before she even stepped inside. Meanwhile, David, quiet but no fool, hired a private detective after a colleague whispered about seeing Emily at the cafe with a man who wasn't him. One Wednesday afternoon, David sat alone at his office, a thick envelope of photos spread across the oak desk. Emily, laughing into Jason's chest, her fingers brushing Jason's jaw. A snapshot of room 37's door, cracked open, her purse hanging on his shoulder. David didn't cry. He felt the heartbreak hollow out his ribs, then found in its place a bone-deep rage so cold it almost calmed him. That night, he came home before she did. He cooked himself dinner. He left her plate in the fridge. When she crept in at 1 a.m. smelling of cheap hotel soap, he watched from the darkened hallway. She didn't see him until she turned to switch off the light. "Did you have fun tonight, Em?" Her gasp cracked the lie in her throat. She stammered, begged, but he only smiled, cruel and tired. "We're done. This time, you lose everything but your shame." He slept in the guest room. The next morning, he left divorce papers on her pillow and a copy of the photos beneath her coffee cup. The day David moved out, the rain hammered the city like a funeral drum. Emily sat curled on their couch, her couch now, as David packed the last of his sketches into a battered leather case. She tried to touch his sleeve. He stepped back, like her fingertips were fire. "Please, David. I was lost, but I love you. It was always you." He looked at her then, really looked, and the softness that once built their home flickered dead behind his tired eyes. "You don't destroy what you love, Em. Take care of yourself. And never look for me again." Then he left. No slammed door, no shouting. Just the soft click of a promise breaking forever. Emily pressed her palm to the door as if she could hold him there by sheer will. All she felt was splintered wood. At first, Jason stayed. He filled her empty nights with rushed kisses and the smell of hotel shampoo. He laughed at her sobs, wiped her tears, promised, "We're free now, babe. No more secrets." But freedom wears thin when the thrill rots. 2 months later, Jason's texts slowed. His excuses piled higher than her unpaid bills. When she found blonde hair on his car seat, he just grinned. "Relax, Em. You're not my wife, remember?" One night, she waited outside his apartment, cold seeping through her thin coat. When he stumbled out with another woman giggling into his neck, Emily lunged at him, nails and spit and curses. He pushed her off with a bored flick. "Get help, Emily. Seriously." Then he left her there, mascara-streaked, coat open to the winter wind. Loneliness clawed at Emily's ribs until she couldn't tell hunger from grief. The landlord changed her locks when she missed rent twice. Her best friend blocked her number after catching her stealing pills from the bathroom cabinet. At the free clinic, the test came back positive. She stared at the plus sign, the nurse's gentle pity. She couldn't remember if it was David's or Jason's. She told herself it must be David's. It had to be David's. Because at least that lie didn't taste as bitter. Jason laughed when she called him from the payphone behind the bus station. "A baby. Jesus, Em, don't drag me into your mess. Get rid of it if you're broke." She threw up behind the dumpster. Cold soup and bile mixing with tears she didn't bother to wipe. 6 months later, belly swollen, pride shriveled to a husk. Emily found herself standing across the street from David's new apartment. She watched him through the windows some nights, a silhouette pouring wine for a woman whose laughter carried on the breeze. A woman with neat hair and gentle hands who placed soft kisses on David's temple, as if erasing Emily's poison one touch at a time. One night, she found courage she didn't own. She rang his doorbell, shivering, coat too small to hide her shame. Tea. He opened the door, surprise softening to pity so quickly it made her stomach lurch. "I don't want money," she said, voice cracked. I just, I wanted to say I'm sorry." David's eyes fell to her stomach. He nodded, once, as if to say, "I knew. I'll pay for the hospital. For you. For whatever he needs." He paused. "But that's all I have left to give you, Em." He didn't invite her in. Didn't ask if she was warm enough. Just closed the door gently, as if even slamming it would cost him more mercy than she deserved. In the days that followed, Emily wrote not poems. She had burned those dreams long ago. She wrote her truth, jagged and ugly, in a cheap spiral. Notebook from the corner store. She wrote about wildflower kisses from her mother. David's pencil in the library, Jason's mouth at her throat, the lies that bloomed like bruises under her skin. She wrote about wanting to be loved so fiercely she destroyed every hand that tried to hold her gently on a rainy dawn. 1 month after her son's small cry filled a hospital room smelling of disinfectant and broken promises, Emily left the notebook on David's doorstep. She tucked a single baby sock between the pages, the only proof of something pure she'd ever made. Then she turned and vanished into the city's waking hum. No luggage. No plan. Just a ghost in thrift store sneakers. Drifting toward whatever corner of nowhere would have her. Inside, hours later, David sat cross-legged on his kitchen floor. The diary open on his knees. He read every word. He didn't curse. He didn't cry. At the end, he whispered to the empty room, "I forgive you, Emily, but I won't come looking for you again." He folded the baby sock into the last page and closed the cover on the story of a girl who wanted everything and paid for it with the only love she ever truly had. Asterisk, asterisk. Thank you for staying with this story until the very last word. Perhaps, somewhere within Emily's mistakes, you found a shadow of your own regrets. Or maybe a reminder that real love is not perfect, but once broken, it leaves cracks that time alone cannot heal. If tonight's tale touched your heart, please consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it too. And if you want more stories like this, honest, raw, and made to keep you company in quiet hours, do not forget to subscribe to Inspire Tales. Until we meet again, take care of your heart, and never trade true love for a fleeting moment of escape.